For those that are new, we only have room to show about 150 cars at a time, but we have, as of last count, somewhere in the neighborhood of 520 cars total. And so there are lots of cars that are not currently on display. They are stored in our basement storage below our feet. All of this used to be a bread bakery, and in the basement is where they would bring in the flour and the sugar and stuff before they send it upstairs to turn it into bread and donuts. So we use that basement area as storage, and on the weekends, if you're ever here again in Nashville, we give tours of that storage area. It also allows us to change out the exhibits pretty often, and this is what we do this time of year. So you'll see we're getting ready for an exhibit that opens on Thursday over there. I shared a very exhibit preparing that. We just opened our first-person video game cars exhibit. And so if you come back in the summertime, you'll see different stuff.
Yeah, like a
shuffle things around.
type deal.
So this propeller car is one of several propeller cars in the collection. The other propeller cars that we have, we know who made them. We know all about where they came from, their construction. This one we're not really sure. It's a bit of a mystery car, and I'll go into that in a minute as well. Now, these propeller cars all came about in the early 20th century when the airplane was still a very new invention. Several different inventors all had the same idea at the same time. What if we took the wings off of an airplane and then a propeller could be used as ground transportation? So basically, this Helicron is a taxiing airplane that never takes off into the sky because it doesn't have wings. So as far as a taxiing airplane goes, that's how the propeller works. There's a few advantages to that. It's very simple. The crankshaft and the propeller are coupled together directly, so making these things is very uncomplicated. There's no transmission to speak of. There's also no reverse, which I'll mention its challenge in a second. So you just turn it on and go. And on flat ground, like a runway, it does fine. It will get up to a normal speed if driven around. But there's actually quite a few drawbacks to driving a propeller-powered car, especially in a city like Nashville or Paris, as this would have been in the 1930s. Now, to get one of the drawbacks is you heard a taste of it, is the noise that it makes. To get anything propeller-powered, even an airplane, moving from a dead stop, you need quite a bit of thrust. So you need a lot of commotion in the wind and a lot of force coming out of the propeller to get it to move forward. Once you're moving, you don't need near as much throttle, because like an airplane in the sky, once it's broken gravity and it's in the sky and has lift under the wings, you don't need as much of the engine. But to take off, and to take off from a stop, you need a lot of that. So the wind is a problem. Anything that comes through this basically giant fan turns this thing into a giant salad shooter, and all kinds of debris and rocks, all kinds of stuff gets thrown behind you. We actually increased the size of this windscreen when we did restoration. Yes.
And roadkill?
Roadkill, people, mailboxes, whatever comes through there gets chopped up. Now, I mentioned on flat ground, like a runway, it does great. Another challenge, especially to this car, is hills. It doesn't like to go up hills. This is a little bit heavier than our other propeller cars in our collection. They are wood bodied and wood framed entirely. The creator of the Helicron took this World War I era biplane body and plop it down on top of a car chassis. A car chassis that we think was early 1930s French. Originally it was rear engine and possibly an air-cooled engine, because when I turn the steering wheel, only the rear wheels move. The front wheels stay totally static. There are brakes on all four wheels, but the front wheels just stay straight, and all of the weight of the engine and the propeller, all of your weight is really on this front end here. So driving this thing is like driving kind of a really long forklift. It's very, very boat-like and tail-happy. So it takes a bit of practice to get to drive it, especially in traffic with cars around. Now, I mentioned that, like I said, on flat ground it does fine. When you get to a hill, because of the weight, you have a bit of a challenge, and it has a design feature that we think was done on purpose. I have a foot-operated brake, and the inventor actually had this hand brake on the outside, an emergency brake, a parking brake. I also have a chalk here, so it's not going to go anywhere. It likes to tug, even at idling, sitting still. It likes to move, try to move. But I have a hand-operated throttle. Now, lots of things had hand-operated throttles back in the day. Your Model Ts and Model As, that kind of thing. But we think this was done on purpose that when you get to the top of a hill and you're just not going to make it and you're at full throttle, we think it was designed to exit the vehicle entirely. You're at full throttle, you can push with one hand and steer with the other. Now when you get to the top of the hill pushing it and you crest the hill, you have to remember to let off the gas and hop in it. Otherwise you have a very dangerous autonomous vehicle that can run over stuff. So that's our best guess why it's here. It does make it a little bit easier to drive too.